I usually get this wrong.
Dun dun dun. There you are.
Okay, so let's do the. Have to do a little PowerPoint first.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we expected
I
that.
owe this much to Microsoft.
Show us your tattoo again.
Re-advertising.
Yes, indeed. Okay, kind of one of my favorite things is connecting to my own stuff. And in this case, Amazon has their web services, and you can have devices like Alexa, and you can connect to them. I have my own server, and I'm a lot more interested in connecting to my server than I am to other people's servers. So I've been trying to get this work, and now I'm pretty far along the line. This demo is going to show a web WEBMOS V1 connecting to a web service, which is kind of like it's like a website without user interface.
Now, the WebMOS V1 is, I've got a link to it. You can buy it on eBay. It's available. It's
Yeah, I just got some pros. I got a lot of these. I bought 10 of them the first time, and then I got some full-size ones. And then I said, well, I'm going to get the pro.
So it's a 8266.
Right.
Okay.
Small
With I/O on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as much I/O.
Not as much I/O.
But it's small, and you can run it off for, mostly it's small. And if you don't have to have a ton of I/O, works nicely.
You mean WeMOS,
WeMOS.
not WebMOS.
Okay.
Whatever.
I'm like, wait, did Frank find a new microcontroller?
Yeah, that would upset Leroy bad.
When I was, I had to redo segments because I would say the wrong word. Go back. Okay, so I'm connecting to my, one of my web servers. It's actually the ones that the kids play with all the time. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong. This is the wrong slide. That was the one I did before.
Don't confuse us with reality, Frank.
Reality's
Nothing here is real.
these days.
Yeah. Nothing here is real.
Okay, so.
Sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work.
Got Westchester, and so I should have another one here. It says Westchester. Okay, let's just open up PowerPoint by itself.
There's one in the upper right-hand corner up there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. If you go back to the previous page,
Okay.
upper right-hand corner, there you go.
No, that's okay. That's probably not it. Let's see.
So
This one, it should be this one, because I named it wrong. All right, let me just make sure. I probably added some extra slides in it. Oh, God. I don't know what I did. Okay, let me just start here. And just kind of go over, and I go over this in the video too. I said before, web services operate through an API, which is just a set of rules for communicating. And to test this kind of thing, you absolutely need to do it with a plugin that goes into a web browser. But it can connect to anything. It could be one of these devices. It could be a phone app. It uses the standard HTTP commands: get, post, put, delete. And the one that I'm mostly interested in is post, even though I'm not doing it in this demo. Because what I want to do is collect information from local devices and then actually store it in a database. And You send the message to the web service. The web service actually does the story. You can use XML or JSON, and these are formats like HTML. They are language independent. That is, doesn't matter what language you use. One of the good things about web services is you could have like a PHP client and you could have a .NET server, and they all talk together and they play together. This one, thanks to Microsoft, is a little bit easier to put together. The problems that I had weren't mainly because of the web service. These little bitty things that you don't know, particularly about Arduino, that just get you stuck forever. Okay, this is the end goal. This is what you're trying to do. You will have a series of fields, and I just set these up because they kind of apply to some of the things that I want to do. What this represents is the state of a device, and you could have like a sump pump, or you could have some sensor that's just monitoring water someplace, and you can have a number of them, and they all can communicate with the same web service. And when it's stored in the database, you could sort based on anything, and you could generate reports, or you could send an email, or you could send a tweet. Whatever you want to do. Once you get it into the database, you have a lot of power. And then you can make decisions about this data. And what my problem up to now hasn't been even like once I get in the database, I know how to do a lot of stuff with it. But it's actually just getting it from an Arduino or a Wemos D1 to the internet. And they give you these examples. And after you know what you're doing, you can say, it was right there. Except when you don't know, you don't know. All right. Now I have a YouTube video where I go through the entire process. And before I do that though, let's see if
The link down at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's it. But I wanted to show, looks like my remote desktop timed out.
Timed out.
But I wanted to show you, yeah, here it is. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you the end results on a server. Let's meet Captain Star.
Captain Star.
Yes. And you see, this is Columbia. I got Enterprise.
Oh,
Excalibur. Okay, this is actually the database. And I have one of these things at home, and I had it plugged up, and it had been reporting like about every 15 minutes. And it's reporting the same thing because it's not connected to any logic. Let's see, what was the last report? Last report was 1648. Something happened. I don't know if my wife pulled it out or what. But ideally, what will happen about every 15 minutes, you will have devices reporting in, and you'll have the data end up, being stored in the database. Now, what this video is going to show you is basically how the steps that you take to get to this point, because this is the end result. This is a MySQL database, which is both free and plentiful and relatively easy to use. So let's go to the, I don't know how this is going to work.
is that you right there?
That's me.
My name is Frank Hill, and I'm
Okay, I need to mute something.
Okay, go, scroll back down.
And I'm also
Stop the video.
doing some demos.
At the bottom of the screen, there you go.
And
One of
You can mute
those.
it there probably. Or turn
I
the
don't
volume
see.
down.
I don't see. He doesn't have the cast tab for that video.
I should be able to, well, it's playing.
Mute it there and see if it'll play.
All right, let me see if I can turn the speakers off.
Okay.
Or turn the speakers down. Come on.
Oh, okay.
All right, turn this down. Let's
Okay.
go to play.
And what I'd like to do here is
There you go. I wonder why he doesn't have
demonstrate
the
how
cast.
a microcontroller can be connected to a web server or web services, sorry, on the internet. This is a microcontroller. Right now it's connected to a USB, but this device, which is a Windows D1, is also Wi-Fi, and with a 3.3 volt battery, I can have it communicate directly with a web service on the internet. First, I'm just going to demonstrate the connectivity, and then in subsequent videos, I will connect to some sensors. So,
This will be the first sensor. This is a water sensor.
Oh,
let's discuss the means of exchanging data between the client, which can be a cell phone or a tablet or a microcontroller or any other computing device. Web API is a method of communicating that's not specifically designed for web browsers, even though you can use a web browser. It uses a protocol called representational state transfer. It uses standard get, post, put, and delete methods to access resources on the web. You can use XML or JSON to transmit data between client and server. So JSON we're using in this example stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it's in a data exchange format. APIs are language independent. That is, you could, either the client or the server could use, as in this case, .NET, C#, or Java, or PHP, or any other language. In this case, Studio for the basic API framework, because it auto-generates a lot of the code that you need, a lot of the framework that you need to create your web service. Now, let's just look at a basic interface diagram between the client and the server. In this case, I'm showing a browser, because typically you're going to use a browser to test the interface before you connect other devices. And you can get built-in plugins to work with Firefox and other web browsers that will allow you to communicate and make sure your interface is good before you hook up your device. So, kind of standard request response interface. You send a request to a web server. In this case, it's IIS, which supports ASP.NET, and then a response will be sent back to the client browser. And I'll note in this case, in many cases, this is for debugging. If the API is found to work, you can then hook up your microcontroller or other device and be fairly assured that it's going to work sooner. It's a good debugging method.
And there's not a lot of code here. I use the very simplest thing.
This is the code for a simple get operation from a ESP8266 type client to a web service that runs on the internet. And Just gonna go through a basic description of what happens here. At the top, we see include REST client.h,
That's the
and
big
that
deal.
includes a library which has all of the Wi-Fi functions needed to connect to the internet. We set a variable here of the type REST client to the variable client. And the location of that website is homecontrol.internetcontrolsystems.com.
That's a real domain on my server.
Then we want to set up a portion of the code, which is typical for Arduino ESP8236 type
Should be 66.
processors. We do it again to start the connectivity to the board, and then we print a line which can be viewed on the console that says connect to the Wi-Fi, meaning this is what we're going to do next. And here's the next operation. We start the Wi-Fi, and electronic.study is the name, the SSID, and then there's a password. And then we print a message on the console that says the setup is complete. Next, we're going to declare this string response, which is a variable that we will hold response once the operation is completed. And then we go into our loop, we initialize the response to nothing. Then we make a call using client object.
Okay, this was one of the things that wasn't understood. This /API home is a directory. And what was said when describing these things, they say something about a location. I had no idea that they were talking on their particular server. They were talking about a directory, just a certain directory. So even though it seems like, well, it's a very simple thing, it threw me for a little bit.
And doing a get, the method is get. The location on the internet domain is /API/home. And we're dealing with the address of response, which is where we want to get our response once we complete the operation. Then we print a label which basically says the stats code from the server, which we hope to be 200. Then we actually print the status code that we get back from this operation up here. And hopefully, again, it's 200, which means that we succeeded. And then we print a message that says the response by the server, which tells you just what's going to be returned as a result of doing that get. And then we print the response.
You also should not do this every second, because eventually you crash the site.
And then we'll go through this loop and we'll do that all over again. Now, the next thing that we do after this is we're actually going to show you this code.
Can you turn it up a little bit with the remote?
And show you what the results are from this operation.
How's that?
He's not saying anything.
He's not saying anything.
Okay. Did I stop seeing?
Now you're going to see the results of executing the code that's on this processor board. It just happens to be called
My old man ears.
D1 Mini, which is a small microcontroller. I'll show you a picture of after I show you the code, and the size of it is approximately 3 inches by 2 inches. So let's just start the operation.
You can also get smaller.
By going to tools, and then we're going to run a serial monitor, which is a console screen that will let us see the output of the code executing. go. We would get a status code of 200 from the server, which means that we connected and everything is okay. And this is the body of the request that comes from the server.
That is
Okay, so
the
you
vault.
have that.
If you have a database with
So,
5,000 records, you can
that shows that.
specify,
I'll
and you'll
show
get that
you,
record, but default, you just get
what the
you know,
device looks
whatever.
like,
It's for debugging.
and subsequently I will connect to the web server and show you what the code looks like for the web service.
Now, there's a lot of lessons out there on the internet to tell you how to create a web service. Problem is, well, they work pretty
This
much,
is a picture
but you usually have to do a little bit more than they tell you.
Wemos D1 Mini. Has 1.35 inches by 1.01 inches. It has 11 I/O pins, and it has 4 megabytes of flash memory, which you can actually get a lot of programming into. So it's a pretty nice little device and can be used for all kinds of application. Uses 3.3 volts, and with a lithium battery, you can get quite a bit of time out of it. Of course, the application is going to determine how long the batteries last, but if you do a good job, you should be able to run it for a day.
I can't guarantee that.
I'm going to show here the main code for a web service. And this web service can do a get, and it can do a put, it can post, and it can delete. And these are the major HTTP functions. We see up at the top here namespaces that are included, and these namespaces contain classes that are required for the web service.
And that's something Visual Studio will do for you. You say, I want to create a web service. It includes all the stuff that you need.
And it inherits from API controller. And it's a kind of a template
That template
gives,
comes with it.
or has most of the functionality
Visual Basic.
you need
Video
This is Visual Studio. This is C#, but you can do
implement
VB or C#.
the
Okay.
HTTP functions. And
If you don't know what you're doing,
this
this
is
is where
all
to start.
provided by Visual Studio when you build the application. In this case, here's a get. And you saw in the earlier case where a new string was returned. Pump 1 and pump 2. This is basically just a test to see if there's connectivity. You can also use a method,
It's nice.
a
Yeah.
get method, where there's
The noise on the audio is,
What's the extra noise?
I have no idea.
it's like
I didn't notice it
an
until I
automatic
did.
gain microphone. When you stop talking, the gain goes up, and you see the ambient noise.
Yeah, it's got, I did it for the webcam, and the mic is about here. But I did the other stuff with the same microphone.
Control of persistence, which the job is just to interface with the database. So we
Okay, I'll have to do that again.
define an instance
ABC.
here, and you give it this name HC, and this piece of code here actually calls the get pump and gives it an ID. This happens to be in the home persistence file. We'll go ahead and look at it.
And that file you do have to create pretty much
Let's
brand
find
new.
it.
The trick is you need to know how to work with a MySQL database, but it's standard
And there it is.
MySQL kind of stuff. It's not just no
Can you put it full screen?
That's an ID again. And first thing it's done is
I got it.
Bottom and right, no, next one over.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the outside.
SQL commands that will
Scroll
extract
way on the outside.
data from the database.
I still should be able to go okay, down here.
This code actually
What's
returns
disappear on?
the
That should be full.
requested records. And then
Kind of
the
escaped to
results
send you
return
back. You went into something, some other
to
menu.
the home controller, which is the calling,
It's better,
which
yeah.
is the calling class. Now, I want to show you some other files. All of these files were generated by Visual Studio automatically, or these folders which have files in them. When the application was started up. And this is actually very useful because if you had to generate all the files needed for the web service and understand what they were doing, it would be very hard to get started. Now, I'm only going to show you a little bit of code here so to give you an idea of how it runs. And in subsequent videos, I will fill in the blank and do a better job on definition of terms. So I hope you like this video, and I will be coming out with other videos in the near future.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I did this about a week ago. I made some progress since then. I know how to do it, but you know, there's still some quirks that I'm working through. But the end goal is actually this, actually having these records for a post. For Arduino or for Wemos, I don't see a need to read the database a lot. But you can do that. You know, you can read, write, you can delete. But I see that, especially with sensors, I really see the need for putting stuff out there because then it gives you so much power. You know, if you put this in a database, you know, you don't have to use a web service. You can use anything that can connect to the database. You could have, if you wanted to display the status of something, you could have a screen that's always up and continually refreshing and, you know, sort of give you the information. Or if you want to make a decision that I need to know about something. What started this a lot is that I have a lot of water in my house. I mean, it runs constantly. And, you know, if I go away from home and that sump pump stops, I can't be gone 2 days, you know, because it'll be all over the place. So that sent me down the path of this thing, and then I'll figure out what else I want to do with it.
So now you can be away from home and it'll send you warnings that your house is underwater.
I can get warnings, yeah.
What do you do about it?
If you're gone.
If you go, well, I tell my neighbor to go, and I have done that because, like, what the other thing that happens, I have email server, and just when I'm gone, a lot of times the email server needs to be rebooted. So one of my neighbors, I can call him up. You know, there's a code to get into the garage, and he go in there, he rebooted. I'm okay. But if people call me up and they mad, you know, I'm sorry, I'm in San Francisco. I don't know what I can do for you. Okay, so this is it. The code is not, you know, and I'll post the code. It's really not magic. The thing about this is you need a server to get access to and you can control. And there's not a lot that you can do with Amazon. You can't do with Amazon what you can do with your own. What was it, IFF?
IFF, well, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, but all of them work.
Thingy speak,
Yeah.
or thing speak, or whatever
I'm
it
of
is.
the opinion that I want control, absolute control.
Have you ever, Steve talked about net server, to set your server
Actually,
in net server?
I looked at that. I didn't, that's similar to Qmail, which is what I use. It's like a little bit later version.
Okay.
Installing email servers is time consuming. And actually, you get one working, you don't want to do it again.
Yeah, if it's working, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
That's for sure.
And especially with Linux, I'm gonna give Linux credit for that. Usually, they just run. There's no booting, there's no nothing. It just runs years.
It just works.
Yes, it just works smoothly. Okay, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
I like your story.
Thanks very much.
I'm gonna redo that section of, when I played the video, I never heard it. I never heard it that loud. It didn't sound.
Well, I turned the volume way up too.
So I could hear, because my ears allergy ears are plugged up.
But it's pretty easy to take the sections out. I'm getting better at that. Actually, I use like a web camera. I want to get me a good camera for making videos. One that doesn't cost $1,000. This webcam costs like $80. It's $50.
$80.
My $5 webcam that I found at a garage sale.
That looks like mine.
Yeah.
That's
It probably was
Logitech.
a $50 or $60.
Is that a C900 or which one is that?
I think that's the 720
Whose is it?
Logitech.
Logitech.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, it probably was a $40 or
Which one do you
$50.
tout for $30?
Oh, it's not a
Alibaba.
USB. It's
Okay.
a StreetCam. That's a wireless surveillance camera.
Gotcha.
You can hook into this what he's doing with that right there.
I learned how to make these things last longer too.
Yeah.
Don't submerge them so far down in the water. Like if you have
Yeah.
them just kind of at the tip,
That's
it
best.
will just keep going down and it'll last a lot longer.
You overflow the top part, it's not good.
So what are you monitoring? Some pump?
Some point. And actually the controller is working now. The control part is there. This monitors the water level. And when it hits this tip, turns on the sump pump.
Cut out some pump.
And then it turns it on like for 20 seconds.
Mhm.
That's enough to pump the tank dry. And then, start scanning again.
Okay.
Not a complex operation.
So you have a little float inside this, in the tank there?
You're supposed to have a float. This is the
That
float.
replaces the float.
This replaces the float. As a matter of fact, it happened because the float went bad. Some pumps stop, and usually you decide that it's I always decide that I'm just gonna get another pump because I've been 5 years of
Been?
yeah. And then I forget how I figured out it wasn't the pump, but
Put a new
I
pump
decided-
in and it's still not working.
no, I didn't put a new one in there. But I have another video. I have another video that shows, lots of wires and stuff like that, where I had a laptop over there, and before I went to the smaller version, and I ran it like that for about a week because I ordered a regular float, but by the time it got there, I had said, okay, I can do this with Arduino. And then, of course, I would feel good. 'Cause I did this with Arduino.
Yeah.
So what does that do? Just short out contacts from one side to the other?
There's a relay on the one that I
No,
have.
I'm talking about the
Conductivity
sensor.
sensor, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Sensor.
Right.
So where do you get the conductivity sensor? Or you made it?
No, I didn't make it. You buy it for $2, I think.
Yeah, it's an eBay.
This plus the electronics plus the actual, it costs about $2.
Yeah, it's,
And even if you had to change it, you just change this thing.
Do you have like a little stick that goes down in there?
I have the wire, and then I have the wire with a tie wrap, tie it around the pipe.
Okay.
And it's at a certain level, and it's gonna be at that level.
Oh, you're trying to run a discharge pipe of the pump?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So what, your house is on top of an artesian well or something or another?
I don't know
Spring,
what
probably.
it is. They say there was a spring that used to run between my house and the house next.
Mine is working all year long, every 2 minutes.
2
all the
minutes.
time.
Wow.
God, mine's not that fast.
Water.
It runs
Is that
about
right?
every 15 minutes.
I love
You
it
can hear it ticking on.
all the time.
And the other
Once a
thing is,
year.
the basement is dug too deep.
What's that place out of Louisville? They make the best sump
How high
pump,
is your
Zoller.
ceiling,
Oh,
It's
God.
because the
12 foot?
level of the water in under the ground, how to call
So
it.
you got,
The
Water table,
Table, yeah.
water table.
that makes it nice for, you know,
It's always, there's
hanging
always
lights,
water.
ceiling tile.
And
Those,
for people who
The sump at Zollner or
Yeah.
Zellner, or if they're made out of Louisville, but Gary Sullivan says they're the best. They're more expensive, but they're the best sump pumps you can buy.
It's
Zoller,
working all the
Zoller,
time.
or,
With
so
the
they're out
battery.
of, they make them out of Louisville, but the guy,
Back
Gary
with the-
Sullivan around the house, that's the only kind he recommends.
How long do they last?
Look them up at,
I
he said that by far they're,
My,
My experience is like about 5 years.
but he's tested them all and he has them on. They're out of Louisville, Kentucky.
I changed
Zellner or
everything.
Zollner.
3 months ago, I changed everything because the charger was not working from the battery.
Yeah.
And the pump there's some leak of some kind. He spent a lot of time doing the same job. They changed everything with the same
Yeah.
brand.
So this has a battery backup, does it, or what?
It has
a lot
battery
of them
backup.
do.
They do, yeah. Because if your power goes out,
Power,
you're
I continue working.
I threw out the battery backup because of the marine, they have marine batteries.
yeah.
Those marine batteries don't last a long time. So
And they're a tidbit expensive too.
they are a tad bit expensive.
It's a Zoller.
Zoller.
So have
When
you,
when he has sump pump guy, that's all he talks about is Zoller. And they're, I don't know, they're on the, said you're gonna pay for it, but you're gonna
You can
get
see
the
the
best
level.
pump you can get.
Going.
Yeah.
You can see how the water is
Wow.
going. You know? But always, if you turn off the pump, the level is steady.
But for a
The half
while,
of the is steady in a level.
I tell you
It
what,
doesn't continue going up.
You've got,
You leave it long
you got a
enough.
check valve
It's,
that's
it's the
open.
level of the water and just,
it'll
You
come
you
up.
may have a check valve that's bad, because if the water, particularly if the water is being pumped up, and you turn the pump off, it comes back down. And if the check valve is not working, it'll just fill right back up. Pump it again, a little bit will go out, and then it'll drain back down.
no, I checked the flow switch by hand,
Yeah.
touching, and works and everything was working, but there was a problem with the controller.
Oh.
I changed the battery also, the problem continues. I decided to change everything because it's risky, it's a lot of water
So,
flowing all the day.
so it comes up to a certain level and then stays there for a while,
Yes, stay forever.
forever.
I don't know if forever.
It's like there is the water level in the terrain, you know.
Equalized out then, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
have you found that you're using the Wemos more than the Arduinos now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It does the same stuff.
It does.
Unless you
Yes.
need a lot of I/O, the same stuff.
I've started to use the ESP32s.
You know, even what I discovered, I started checking it with the Wi-Fi. If you're within a reasonable distance, I used it at school, and it just seems like it didn't work. But at home, you know, within a room or two, it's still.
It's okay. The problem will be when you try to do something with interrupts or something, because it shares the time between the API of the web access.
Yeah.
And your program is switching all the time, like tasks, you know. And this is different with the new one with the
32.
with the 32. It has two processors,
Yeah.
one for your application, and another for the web access for the internet.
Yeah.
Or the Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Stack.
the ESP32s are not that much more expensive.
It's going low and low.
Oh, yeah.
Is this
Every month.
four relays on here?
4 relays.
Cost?
That was $10 at MCM.
Wow.
You
An
want
eight
eight
would-
relays will cost $14.
15, yeah, $15.
That was yours if you want it.
Oh.
$10, it's yours.
Carry money.
Okay, you can owe it to us.
I'm glad you
Hey.
played Tuesday for
Yeah, I'm glad to pay
MCM
for a cheaper
board
today.
today.
Yeah, it worked for me.
It's kind of got a custom firmware on there because I could not get it to work with their
It's
thing.
not-
So I reprogrammed it. So you're going to have to, you're probably going to want to reprogram it for yourself.
If not, you must pay for that.
Because,
E- Email me and I'll tell you all the PIN numbers and
You
everything.
will send an
He did a demo on it,
uh,
about the pin, it
how
signed
say,
it. Didn't assign it, the
don't have the-
reprogrammer, when he reprogrammed it, it assigned it. Not the way you would have assigned it, correct? The 4 pins?
Oh, yeah, I made it act like it was logical, like 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of 1, 3, 4, 7 or whatever it
does
was.
this work with the Arduino?
I'll email you all the weird little quirks and I did it's in the corner. I did a thing that about all the weird little quirks of it.
Where's the connection?
Right.
It's power,
It's those 3 pins.
USB.
you need an adapter.
You need a serial programmer.
Okay, I got one.
Yeah, you've got one.
I don't use them that often.
Just make sure that when you use it, move it over to 3 volts.
Okay.
Item, that's the club stock, so if you want to return it back to us, that's all I was gonna do is go throw it in the box for the club stuff.
Well,
I'll give you $10.
it belongs to the club.
Something else.
It's not mine or anything.
Yeah.
It belongs to the club.
But you made the mistake of putting your hands on it, so you'll be the consultant.
You must pay for it.
Oh, I don't mind. It's quirky. It's not quite as easy to program as you want it to be, but once it's programmed, it works pretty well. So
And then we looked at these things. I'm looking at this because it says Alexa on it.
Okay.
And they say they work with Alexa and they're faster than some of the others that they're offering.
What does it do?
It allows you to use voice control for this, Alexa to control this. It's Wi-Fi,
Okay, but what does it do? This is a switch?
the switch.
Okay.
1100 watt switch.
Yeah, something else I haven't tried, but I saw on the libraries, I saw that there's a Arduino, Amazon, Alexa. I haven't tried it yet. That was something that I want to try. Now that I'm kind of satisfied with web services, I'll go back and look at Amazon.
If you want to tinker with that too, let me know.
Let me do this first.
Okay.
Take on extra.
So what's the advantage of plugging your Alexa into that over just the outlet?
no, you don't plug
No,
the
this-
Alexa into that.
Alexa
Alexa
will
can
discover-
control it.
Alexa will
Oh, Alexa
Alexa,
can
turn
control
on
it will
the
discover
light,
this thing.
turn off the light.
Turn on,
Whatever you
okay, I
want.
got you.
Turn on switch, whatever. Turn
Yeah.
on
Gotcha,
You can say,
kitchen.
Alexa, take care of it.
gotcha.
Open the garage.
The code that I've got for that is on GitHub.
Is this thing compatible? Is this a Alexa?
No.
Or is it not?
Well, I mean, maybe. It's an ESP8266.
Maybe there are examples about to use Alexa with P 8260s.
Right now, it's just running a little web server, and I can connect to it on the phone and tell it
Yeah.
turn light on, turn relay 1, relay
How
2.
much memory is on this flash?
That's debatable.
Yeah,
Is it
he
as
talked
much-
about that.
Is it as
too.
much as
It's
these?
I don't think so.
You can buy just the relay with the transistor and connect to the Wemo. Right, and it's the same thing.
It's the same thing as that,
Yeah.
but
With these-
that's mounted on the board.
With these, I mean, I have the sockets, the small
Same thing,
relays.
yeah.
that
It's
connect
the same
right
thing.
to
Yeah, it's more or less the same thing. Only
that forward.
you've got 4. That's one of the quirks that I have with that. The way it's programmed is just
But usually
Insane.
you don't have 4 loads in the same place. You want to open the garage or turn on the
Yeah.
lights of the
Yeah.
porch or the front porch or something, and you want a Wemo with a relay in each place.
In each place, yeah, the four of them in one spot's kind of weird.
More like that.
That's actually,
And the one that's got 8 to it is like, okay,
my garage is actually is, you know, because I got.
Yeah, I know.
3 doors and a light. So.
yeah, I know. Well, that's, when I actually saw that, I said, that's a great replacement for what you,
2 doors, the light of the garage.
and it's small.
Yeah.
But they make an 8-port one that's got 8 relays, and I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, how many people have got 8
Yes.
things in one spot to turn on or off?
Like the pump, it's on one relay.
Yeah.
Plug it in.
Maybe some kind of show or lights or something.
It's cheap, but who's going to use it?
Well, that's like this.
Yeah. So, just,
How many watts is this?
It's 1,100 watts on 120.
And all you do is plug it in. How much do these cost?
I got a link to it in the
Oh, wow.
meeting announcement, which I sent out today ahead of time. By hours.
You want credit, huh?
Let me show you the link. Well, I have to take abuse here sometime.
It was an hour and a half ahead of time.
See, that's over an hour.
that's better than last week.
Hey.
Came out Friday morning,
And
it's
that's
over.
from eBay?
They're everywhere. These are everywhere. Here's the, there it is right there, last week's notes. It's right there, and you click on that and you'll get that same thing we're looking at. Maybe.
There's a newer version of that.
These are everywhere.
IKEA.
That's a 2006 version.
IKEA.
IKEA is selling
2011 edition.
smart light bulbs for $20 with the hub that you need.
That sounds like a.
Also selling Aldi food.
I thought that was a pretty decent price
What?
when it's got the hub that you need
It's
to
got
make
a
it
hub,
work.
it's a Wi-Fi hub with 433 megahertz to these,
Well, we don't know.
or to the lights.
Yeah, we don't know that for a fact yet because
It's some
nobody's
sort
went
of-
down there and bought one yet.
Oh, okay. They want money for that. Oh my gosh. What kind of money they want? $12 for the light and
$12 for the light and $20 for the light and the hub. Seemed like it was a decent price to me now.
Imagine, we used to be able to just go and turn the switch on.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah. You got a Rube Goldberg and everything.
The one that IKEA has, the article that I read about it, the reason why I even looked at it is because it said that they're coming out with both Alexa and Google Home compatibility for their switches, for their lights. Yeah, decent thing to go and investigate what those actually are.
So
And
you'll be able
another
to tell
thing.
Alexa to.
and another
I've
I'm
got
going to
an-
tell
I
Google
bought
Home
an
to do
Echo
it.
Dot
I
when it
don't
was
know
on sale,
nothing about no Alexa.
For $29.
and another thing, they're building floodlights. Built into the center is a camera, and that mounts onto
that's a
a
good
box
book.
with motion detection.
I've read the
That's
PDF.
actually a good idea, because actually it's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like
full
a
of
camouflage. It's a floodlight, you don't think it's.
A lot
Yeah,
of
there's
stuff
a
you
camera
just
there.
don't-
Most of the
think
time,
about.
you're hiding cameras up real high, so
Yep.
people won't mess with it. But floodlight.
Or you go in the grocery store and they got those smoky domes with cameras, and some of them are dummies and some of them are, but you don't know.
Yeah, just as good. A dummy camera is not bad.
Well,
not a
that's
bad
kind
idea.
of what he was trying to do anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can buy a dummy camera for $20. You can buy a real one for $30.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, the business is changing. Ah. OneDrive motor and steering. OneDrive motor. Oh, what? Oh, okay.
Like like the trash can transport.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot simpler. But I've got my steering mechanisms built in, so it's got a rack and pinion type thing almost. It's basically a wagon
Yeah.
So the front wheels
I
do.
have two wheels in the front.
Yeah, two wheels in the
But
front.
it's the same, you use a motor.
Yeah, this would be simpler, much simpler. Cool. Yeah, you were showing me one. They had a GPS kit with tank treads,
Yeah.
and I need something that haul 150 pounds. I think is my goal.
Yeah, that one with the tank treads, I don't think would be, the idea behind it's good, but it's way too small to actually carry.
Yeah. But they're getting the idea of putting together a GPS package and treads and all that stuff.
The quadcopter, the do-it-yourself quadcopters that have the controller and the GPS and whatever already there, they've got the motion controllers on them. They're not hateful. They're under $20, and it probably would work really, really good for land when you consider that the quadcopter's moving way faster than your transport will.
The controller built in for.
Yeah, it's got the flight controller, which the GPS tells the flight controller various and sundry things, and it's fast.
Yeah, that'd be good for manual control. Cheap, good manual control instead of doing the fob thing. Yeah, they getting that down.
I think the one flight controller, it didn't have the GPS on it though. The one flight controller I saw was $15. I think the GPS was another $15.
I have a question. How do you get 150 pounds of garbage?
It's easy.
I mean,
Are you married?
Is that on a weekly, is that on a weekly basis? Is
What?
that on a weekly basis?
No, that's maximum. We do up there 60 pounds occasionally. It's not
Yeah.
not that hard.
That
At 30 on a week, you'd say maybe 30
If you got
pounds.
it on wheels, okay, so you're just saying it should support that much.
Yeah, a maximum 150
Maybe
pounds.
this
I don't
item-
expect it
I
to be
can look-
150, but some people
Go to
would.
the
Yeah,
driver's side.
Occasionally.
occasionally.
go.
I have.
One second. Kitchen to the front of the house. Hyperloop transporter.
That motor that came off that scooter should support at least 150 pounds.
Yeah, it's geared down to propel it.
Yeah.
150 pounds picking it up is one thing.
Yeah.
Propelling it, particularly with the gear ratio I'm going to be doing, I'm
Yeah.
going to be going slow.
Well, I've been on those scooters and driven them around, and I'm way over 150
Oh,
pounds.
yeah. I could probably get that trash can going,
I damaged one.
20 miles, 15, 20 miles an hour.
Use the motors and the driver
Yeah.
Mhm.
system.
So is that what we're going to do? Y'all going to make me work on that drive, 43 amp drive next time? Or somebody have something they want to do next time?
I don't know.
You going to do the elevator?
Going on, but I didn't finish anything.
I've been helping Ray the past week do code for the robots.
Cool.
He's getting ready to actually put those on the site for sale. He wanted all the code and everything ready.
He's the guy that runs Rabbit Laser.
Yeah,
Rabbit robots now.
Rabbit robots.
Robots, huh?
So I really haven't sat down and done any of my own projects because I've been helping Ray with his project. But I could do something if somebody had an idea of.
Okay. I ain't got any new stuff this week, new junk. Oh, you got new junk, but your a la mode thing, but you got, you're working with Ray.
Yeah, I mean,
So what kind of new stuff Ray got?
he's built some new robots. They're all pretty much, they're all either four-wheel or two-wheel, four-wheel, or six-wheel drive. So basically, the electronic from an electronic standpoint, they're really all the same robot. They just look different and do some different stuff. He doesn't.
Right and left motors are driver.
Yeah.
In parallel or with the same
Yeah.
driver.
Right. And we have discussed, because it's supposed to be an educational thing, we've discussed sticking a second motor in it so that you could do some independent control, especially on the four-wheel robots. But right now, one drive is driving all of them at the same time, and it seems to be working pretty well. That's really, I mean, nothing real new.
You're supposed to be the hype man.
No, I'm the programmer. I'm not the sales guy.
You're not the marketing guy.
I'm not the marketing guy. The
You're the
one,
nuts.
He already has the drones.
yeah.
For
Well,
assembly.
he's finishing up most of those. Most of the drawing, I've seen most of them. They're really good. He's got like little videos that have it all expanded and go back together slowly, so that you can see how they're put together.
Looks like you're juggling.
He did a market survey to see what people were willing to pay for, and much to his surprise, the most popular robot happened to be the first robot that he came up with, which was the BiddyBot that we all have, and people are actually willing to pay fairly decent for that.
Are these
But
let's say the parents or?
Well, his market sample was pretty small, but like he market sampled like 15 people.
Depending on who they are. You know?
Yeah.
That could be a good sample. You never know.
And I think the average cost of that particular robot turned out to be about $75, which was more or less what he thought that it should be at.
What's the markup on it then?
I don't know if he really wants me to say, because I know what the markup is,
It's not, you know.
but I'm not real sure if I should say. I know what the markup is on most of those.
At $75, you're gonna have to sell a lot of them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good not to talk about markup, but that's Ray's thing.
That's Ray's business.
That it much to his surprise, that was the most popular of all the robots. So he's got all these other really fancy designed ones, but the one that people seemed like they were willing to pay for was his original design concept.
I told him that he must concentrate in a
Yeah,
one role, very low cost and a lot of production, you know?
Volume.
And
I think he needs
and have
to
a feedback about it and then include
I think he needs to stick to one or two, or maybe three. That he's got a couple of them that are really, really, really good designs, and those are the ones that I think he ought to go with, and just start small and go from there.
He needs to do the high margin. He needs to do high margin, no question. Because just handling it, you have no idea. Mail order? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So.
And then the production costs need to be like 10% of the sale cost. Seriously.
That's right.
Wow.
I mean, he couldn't survive otherwise.
Yeah.
Mailing costs and it's broke and oh my God.
Customer support alone.
and the shipping usually affect the sales a lot also.
So just the tip of this has to be in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. These have the 3-prong. That's going to be on off lead and plus and minus. And then you just wire that into your discrete input or analog, depending on
So the contacts that hit the water, there's one row on the back side and one row on the front side? Or?
It depends on how these are side by side, looks like. They may not have any on both
So
sides.
you can wire these as you choose. I noticed that they look like they got through holes there.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to look at them and see what they are. Typically, they're just
There's just one-sided board.
yeah, three prongs, plus, minus, and the signal going to the Arduino. It's that simple, and it's on off. A lot of these are on off. If you want variable, now that's different. Yours is on off, isn't it?
No, it's,
Variable, analog,
it's analog.
and you pick out the one you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when it's completely open, it's 1024, and I check if it's below 750, and then I say, there's water.
Okay. So these are the 4 pins are usually have discrete out and analog.
So Frank, is it operating at your place right now?
Oh, yeah, this thing's been, one that's in there now has been running for like.
But I'd read them.
Okay.
You have to turn it for 78 cents. Oh my God,
Problems with this with the humidity.
that's probably on off.
Wow.
Not a thing.
And there are all
It's such a
kinds.
small probe, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it
There's
physically
no-
has to be in water to make it.
I need another
78
solution
cents
for this long term.
price
I just
on
found out a
it.
way to make it last longer.
Not to submerge it too far.
Right, not submerge it too far.
Yeah.
Have you considered
I know
using
you guys told me
A longer.
an ultrasonic?
ultrasonic. I haven't got to that yet, but that.
You
the only
need-
thing
you need an
have-
ultrasonic
One thing you have to worry
for-
about is humidity, but.
Wet
you've never
places,
touched
because
it
the
before.
standard one will degenerate too fast because
Yeah,
the water,
well, they make the sealed ultrasonics,
okay.
and they're not horrible.
Yeah, I remember before, I didn't get a chance to try that out.
Yeah, he's right. You need one that's going to be a little sealed up for the humidity.
Yeah.
But
There is one that has like a meter of cable. The sensor and the board is separated. The sensor from the board.
mhm.
It's-
That's got a 5 volt on it, right? It's got a 5 volt out.
What's that 5 volt out?
The D1.
Moisture sensor.
No,
Is
the
it 0 to
D1.
5 or?
I have no idea.
It has
I think
a
it's-
I
regulator.
just monitor.
I think it's got a 5.
He used the
No,
the
the
USB port power,
yeah.
5 volts.
Yeah, this in it comes 5 volts, so.
Yeah. So you shouldn't have a problem using an ultrasonic with that. So most of the ultrasonics are not friendly with the 3 volts, so they want to work at the 5 volts. I've only found a couple of them that actually work at 3 volts.
How much current do they draw? I mean,
I have no idea.
but the USB connection at half an amp is obviously plenty.
Yeah, I haven't had any. My problem is running them on low voltage. Most of them don't want to work, and then they cause problems. But as long as you're running it at 5 volts, it seems like it works fine.
See with that, right there, you have such a small gap when it's on or off, okay? You could have a big inrush of water and it could overtake that.
I think comes on pretty quick. But actually, that could be a problem if you had it rush in that fast. But usually it doesn't come in that fast.
If
You're dealing with a spring that's kind of gurgly.
Well, you know, when it's raining, when it's real wet outside, it just keeps running.
Right.
But it doesn't run in that fast.
Okay.
it runs in that fast, he's got bigger problems to worry about.
You got a pump problem when it runs in that fast.
Yeah.
You need to-
Because it could
the
overtake
horsepower.
that.
Yeah.
Real easy.
That's true. You need to up the horsepower on the pump.
So what's the pumping capacity
So
of your?
half horsepower,
I'm sorry?
1/2 horsepower pump.
No, but what is the gallons per
How many
minute?
gallons per minute?
It varies with the size of the pump and what your head is.
Hey, that's
Yeah, I can say,
I know what he's asking, because that's actually one of the things I wanted to calculate, once I get it on the web.
I really like
I
that. I
don't
really
know
like that MP3
exactly
player.
what the rate is now.
Because the one I have under my house in California is
Wow, it's
capable of 1,600 gallons
for the
per
problems
hour
that you
at
skip
4
or avoid.
foot lift.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm not doing anything like a 4 foot lift, so.
Yeah,
A lot bigger lift.
I think
Mine
I
is-
think you'd be way happy with
First
that
of all,
one.
there's a crawl space under the, is not a basement.
It's a shield.
So it's just
right?
lifting it
Yeah.
up
It's a
enough to
shield
get
with,
it to the pipe that goes through the wall, which is probably 18
goes out
inches
of the
above
window
water
on
level.
both sides.
Mhm.
But
It's a shield, right?
I think that's like a
The shape is,
quarter horsepower.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
something like
weird.
that.
Yeah, this-
It's not shaped
they have
right, but it's a
horsepower.
shield. It plugs
And I
right
might
on
be
top
able
of
to
the
get away with a
Arduino.
quarter horsepower, but
Would
it
you,
pumps it out really
you
quick.
use it in,
And
in
it's
the,
got a long ways to go too.
you begin with 8 foot?
I used it in the
in
Hero
pressure,
with the
you're dealing
Mega,
with
with
At
the,
least a 1/2 inch pipe.
Yeah.
Okay, so the volume is gonna be determined also by the discharge pipe
Yeah,
itself.
the pipe I have is
It was,
probably a 3-inch diameter or something like that.
the library
That's pretty
for
good
it's
size
really
pipe.
good.
That's a big pipe.
It's a good shield.
An inch would probably be standard, okay,
And if,
because that's a lot of water
I
going through
can,
it in one
when I
inch
get
pipe.
home, I can email you
Mine's
But a
the,
3-inch pipe is.
the actual
almost
plug I
like-
used or
It's
whatever.
almost
I'm
just a
using
little bit
this
undersized of a
for the
fire hydrant.
elevator.
Okay. Yeah,
Three of them
3-inch pipe would.
against
love
the
that.
pole, right?
But
Well, a house
remember,
sits on
I'll
top of
show
an
it maybe the next
aquifer,
week, but
so
I'm not sure I will finish the assembly.
when we have rain,
And I
which
use
doesn't happen all the
three of them,
time,
okay.
obviously. When we have rain, it can get pretty serious.
two
I
boards
got it.
separated by
Runs a lot.
standoffs.
We need a
Very
battery backup thing, because if
Three
your
of
power
them.
goes
Well,
out.
Well, yes, that's
around
true, but I
road
don't have a battery
in the upper
backup on it.
and the bottom of
well,
the.
they got a
of the
rainy season out there too, so you could do.
Smooth.
But November, is it
I-
rainy out
I
there?
see what,
The fall?
It's over engineering, you know.
Depends.
Um,
It's, the rainy season, if we have it, typically runs from October to March sometime then. Basically, after May, we don't see any rain until October.
Same thing in Portland, Oregon. They don't see any rain in the summertime. It's just dry.
Is that right?
do you want,
Until the fall.
I can add you into the GitHub repository so you could add your code
November now.
into our group if you want to.
After that,
Okay.
not much.
Not much.
So when I get home tonight, I'll
Yeah.
set that
This-
up.
This is not a
Is
lot
that
to
even?
add.
Yeah.
It is ocean current.
Yeah, it's roughly
But
$10.
If you do projects or whatever,
Detail on it.
you could put it on the,
Forget about rain.
Okay, I may already be there, because I have a GitHub account. And I remember when we started out,
I didn't remember
Jeremy-
that.
Yeah.
you may already be there.
yeah, I'm not.
45
Mom's
centimeters.
cousins lived
You
in
just never used it.
Seattle for like 40 some
So
years.
roughly
Um,
18
Yeah, they
inches
don't-
or
they don't
so,
have air
16 inches.
And they're having a heat wave and people
Yeah.
are dying. 'cause they-
I actually invited this guy, but he never accepted the invitation
Houses,
What's that?
buildings don't have it.
to GitHub.
Oh,
Because at most you'd have to use it 5 days a year at the most.
Yeah, you.
You have those room coolers.
I need to learn how to use it. It's not easy.
Yeah, actually, you have to put all of the commentary in there, 'cause actually, that's what's useful.
I always in a hurry to do something, and
They don't
if I
have
try
pay
to-
per month. They don't
to
have
use the
air
IHOP,
conditioning
I feel
either. You don't.
stuck there.
You know, you can
Well,
right click and just save everything. That's what I do with GitHub.
let's do that for next week.
What's
Let's
that?
do a quick,
How to use.
a quick how to use
Yeah.
GitHub
I've been on
again.
that rock.
Okay.
Have you?
So we talked about doing that anyway.
The one out further in the
We-
ocean or the
we-
one closer?
Jeremy
The
did
furthest rock to your
one,
right.
and
I
Jeremy
followed.
just confused
Okay.
When I
everybody.
was a kid.
Me,
I was out there
mainly,
last year.
you know, how'd that go?
Everybody is gonna run away.
I've got like four or five easy
It's a federal
steps.
park, and
Boom. Done.
They will arrest you if you try to climb it.
Okay. What's it called?
Haystack.
Big ass rock.
This is a nice
Ooh, big ass.
thing to do.
Yes,
I
yes,
asked my
Frank,
grandpa
you're already a member.
It's as big as the rock at
Just
Gibraltar.
No.
If you don't understand it, you're not going to use it.
What's the other rock
So-
to the left?
Don't know.
If it's not
I
real
wonder if that's
easy,
a national park too.
Well,
You can
Like-
get out there.
like Jeremy
Oh, yeah.
confused me.
Too cold.
I didn't really have a clue, and I sat
Too
down
cold.
one night and went, okay, there's 4 or 5 easy steps, and once you get past those, you could add more to it.
Okay.
But
Well,
there's like 4 or 5.
If we
Just-
do it next week,
My
comment.
stepmother's sister's from.
Let's do that. Let's do a
She lived
quick.
there now. She said one of them was.
Let's say bring your laptops, because we can do some GitHub stuff with your laptops next week.
Okay.
And then everybody should just be able to learn from doing instead of listening to somebody go, do this and do this and do this.
Put this in the invitation, please bring your laptop.
So say bring laptops or whatever, please, Mr. Jim.
Well, Art, is this your last class for the year?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'll be here next week.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Oh, man. You
next
gotta
week.
put up with them again, Jim?
Next
The
week.
abuse.
Yeah, I'll be back
the
before,
meeting
if
announcement
I'm on my regular schedule, I'll be back for a couple of weeks before the first of the year.
Okay. Christmas in California?
Well, probably 1 week before the first of the year. Depends on, we have meetings in or not.